destroyed.
Back here on Open Court, the reigning champions, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, having dispatched Golden State in the finals. And we begin our preview of the season with a look at the Eastern Conference. Anybody going to knock Cleveland off, Isaiah?
No.
All right.
Next. No, I think they got the best player. And then you got an emerging Kyrie Irving. I think defensively they're solid. And I think they know how to win, and I don't see anybody else right now in the East at that level.
Who comes closest, Grant?
Wow.
Atlanta?
That's what you want to say. Go ahead, it's all right.
I want to say that.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right, man.
Don't lie, just don't say it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if anyone comes close. I mean, I have to agree with Isaiah. I just think there's that much separation between the Cavs and just the collective know-how. Like, now that they know what it takes, they understand they're the most dominant team, they have the highest payroll, all those things, but they understand now what it takes, and LeBron James as a leader is not going to allow them to become complacent.
I'm with Grant. I just think the separation right now, they've lost one the way they've lost it. They've been through injuries. They've been through the Kevin. They've been through everything. And then the way they won it last year, that brings you close.
The difference this year is two teams that I think have made significant improvements to their roster. If it all comes together, the Knicks and the Pacers. Yeah. And the reason I say those two teams, because Paul George believes he's on that level. And Carmelo's another guy like that. Well, they really believe they're on that level. And the reason they believe it is because they've been in the locker room on USA Basketball with you, and they know you think that they're at least comparable.
I look at Cleveland, and they have not just LeBron, but they got Kyrie. And then the unknown sleeper throughout the NBA Finals was Kevin Love. When Kevin Love stepped up and emerged, that's when, in my opinion, Cleveland took the step and said, okay, we can defend, we can be better. And one of the biggest plays that was made last year during that series, Kevin Love switches out on Steph Curry.
And the biggest possession of the world.
Yeah. And normally we've been killing Kevin Love about defense, right? And this guy did this.
Hiked him up, baby.
Down and slid, stopped him, and forced Steph Curry into a tough miss.
7 to shoot. Curry fakes the three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three.
And I look at Kevin Love coming back this year as a much more confident basketball player than he's been in the last 2 years.
Something happened last. We talk about coming down from 3-1 in the finals, really one of the great comebacks in NBA Finals history. But you feel like once they made that coaching change last year, all the chatter and all the noise that we had heard for a year and a half about that team, guys not getting along, coaching, like that all kind of just went away. And it seemed like watching them throughout the playoffs, before the finals, they just came together, like they they hadn't been before.
Let's not look back, all right? Let's not look back. Keep our defense up. Keep playing with speed and pace. Every single time, everything we do, it's got to be aggressive, all right? Aggressive.
Hey, C-Web, GA mentions Indiana and New York. What's Chicago do for you with D-Wade?
D-Wade is at home. I think he's going to come out, and he's going to be the most focused he's ever been. My question is, will his body allow him to be the player that he wants to be? Because I know every year he plays hard, but I cannot imagine a year when you get your mama's cooking that you play that hard. And so for me, I think he's going to be ready. But there's questions, is Rondo ready? Is mentally are they going to be ready? Are they going to play together? How's that locker room? Who's going to have to be the leader? There's so many questions and so much mess that Dwayne Wade is the perfect leader for that, but hopefully his body can keep up.
Another team I'm going to throw out there real quick, Ernie, just we're talking. The Celtics have a lot of just young, talented guys, and they all play together. They seem to have a collective kind of spirit about them I like. I think Al Horford can kind of be the glue that takes a lot of those young guys together. I'm not saying they can beat Cleveland, but I think they can have a mindset and something about them that will allow them to compete with them, because they're just going to go in there and think, what do we have to lose?
I think one of the most intriguing teams in the East for me this year is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. They were a team that defensively they were solid, everything else. I look for them to have a big, surge again and get back into the talk of playoff and being one of those teams that defensively can really give people problems with their athleticism. I think Kidd is healthy again, back on the bench, and I think they're going to have a good year.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
And you coached him, playing for the Hawks now. What do we expect to see?
You know, I think one of the things that you take into consideration, you know, when Dwight was in Orlando, he played for a very tough and a very demanding coach in Stan Van Gundy. And for a period of time, 3 years, he was great. He was sensational. And things got a little sideways there at the end. And, you know, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of excuses. But so he has, you know, obviously responded well to good coaching. Obviously playing for Coach McHale as well, getting to the Western Conference Finals. I do think that, and I'm being objective here, and I answer this question, but I feel like a lot of what's been said about Dwight, the narrative for the last 3 years about Dwight, it wasn't necessarily all his fault, you know? I think there's some blame on his part, but I think there was some circumstances that were bigger than Dwight that maybe contributed. And maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I do believe that. I also think the timing. I think the timing for the Atlanta Hawks franchise was the right time, and the right time for Dwight. You know, Dwight has been through a lot and is at a point now, I think, where he just wants to be in a good environment, wants to have a chance to win, and wants to sort of restore and repair himself, his reputation.
Yeah.
So,
how much left in the tank?
That's the biggest question. I mean, you know, one thing I've always said about Dwight, the bigger the game, the more focused he is and the harder he plays. I will give him credit for that. I've seen a lot of players who, bigger the game comes, they shrink a little bit. He doesn't shrink. He plays harder. He gets after it. My experience with Dwight, he couldn't bring it every single night. He was hurt a lot. He had a lot of different things. His back, you know, bothered him. He had a back surgery. He had, you know, his knee. I don't know if he can bring it every single night like you have to. And he needs a really, really copacetic, like the locker room for him, and everything has got to be really tight for him, because that's, like, you know, his biggest beef was always, well, this guy doesn't, you know, we don't get along well enough. And, you know, I'm thinking, get along. I'm going home to my wife. I don't know what you guys are doing after practice, but
you're going to be busy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I never believed in that stuff, because I'm like, I didn't, you know, look, if you and I were going to go out and fight, I might say, Smitty, see you tomorrow. That's the last time I talked to you. But the next day we step on the court, we get after it. He likes that whole thing, you know, the family thing and everything else, and that was not the case in Houston. It was a pretty disjointed at times there, and he struggled with that.
Would you want to put a period on this?
Oh, no, to the Grant's play, I think individually it's going to be fantastic for Dwight. I think the locker room is, like you said, everything individually is perfect for Dwight, and I think so many people have beat him up. Their success is still, people are going to say, is Dwight, yes or no, but I think everything for Dwight. This will be one of his better years. It won't be Orlando, but I think this will be one of his better years.
It's another one of these. We didn't talk about the Toronto Raptors.
It's another one of these home cooking.
You say it'd be Orlando.
One of these home cooking things. Well, take me there. If you, I mean, I looked at you and you went Indiana and New York.
No. But I'm saying those are two teams that are also. I just think the East collectively has gotten infinitely better, and I think the fact that we haven't mentioned Toronto speaks to that, because Toronto, remember, their two best players are still getting better. They had the best.
Will they be as good as they were, though?
You know what? I think we might have just helped them.
Toronto was some ugly basketball during the playoffs. Are we going to be honest about basketball?
I don't like what
you just said they were the best.
I don't like them.
No. They don't play well together. They don't pass well together. I mean, they're a good team because of default. It's like they have great athletic ability, but like I'm like when we were watching the games last year, you know, it's like it's disjointed. They play hero ball. Their offensive scheme is not that good.
But aside from all that, you like them.
Yeah. They're a great team.
When we